We're not going to make any decisions on this tonight. It's just brought to everyone's attention because it was of a timely nature. They have done, the manager and Ms. Beachy have done an analysis of what we have put away for the road work. At Woodlawn, at roughly $180,000, Backbone at $125,000, the guide rail, which is another section we have informally committed to doing on Backbone at $25,000, gets us at $330,000. And if I remember the mayor or the manager right, I think he said we were going to have $360,000 in the budget for the year. So this leaves an extra $30,000, which puts us in the realm of being able to handle this. Again, there's no decision to be made about this tonight, just bringing it to your attention. We'll speak more about it at the April 14th. We may have to vote on it at that working meeting so as not to, so as to let Ingram get forward on it, so we may vote then. If it can wait until the 28th, we'll discuss it again on the 14th and vote on the 28th. Next one, Crafton Borough, Carlington Management Joint Meeting. So the Superintendent, Gary Pfeiffer, and Business Manager Kirby met with Jamie on 3/18. Items discussed and for which we'd like closure is the use of the high school swimming pool for lifeguard training and certification. Jamie is of the opinion that if we had access to this, we could have a greater staff available for our pool in the summertime, which I guess as you get through the course of the summer, it's difficult to schedule. So if we actually have more folks available, that would be a good thing. Also, use of the Crafton Elementary School building and fields off of West Steuben Street for future intramural vacation uses leagues, and endorsement of the Vacation Blighted Property Initiative to place properties back on the real estate tax rolls. So that was a productive meeting. Local Government Academy, 3 Crafton Council members successfully completed the newly elected officials course, and we were honored at the 320 graduation ceremony, at which Councilwoman Weitzel offered closing remarks and words of wisdom. So congratulations to the 3 council members. The multi-municipal comprehensive development plan, where Mr. Cowan is at tonight at Roslyn Borough. There was a resolution on 3/24/14 action agenda to begin this process and required to submit funding applications to Local Government Academy. $8,500 for Crafton, $65,000 to Allegheny County, Allegheny Places for Crafton on behalf of participating municipalities. It's been understood that a lot of these grants are only seriously considered if they're part of a multi-municipal plan, so that's why the manager has decided to reach out to Ingram, Thornburg, and Roslyn Farms, and he has meetings scheduled, which each of those upcoming in the next month. As I said, he meets tonight with Roslyn Farms, he meets on 4/10 with Ingram, and on 4/14 with Thornburg. Contract and review negotiation refined. Following contracts and documents are due to expire or undergoing review for renegotiation. The Comcast cable franchise executed a 10-year agreement with 4% franchise fee in 2014. Agreement being reviewed by solicitor and hopeful submitted to council on 4/14 for execution. The district magistrate space lease. This is contacted with the county court, and Magistrate Joyce has completed a waiting response from the Allegheny County Law Department as to another 6-year lease. So this one is in their hands. We have not heard back from them. The Public Works Labor Agreement, which expires on 3/31/14. We've conducted a second, actually I take that back. We discussed a second negotiating meeting on 3/17. There was another third one scheduled for today, which was canceled. We have, our third meeting will be a week from today on 3/31. Employee handbook and policies as directed by council on 2/24/14. This will be completed by 4/15, according to the manager. The 2013 general fund audit needs completed and should be prepared by the end of May, and work is ongoing for that. And last but not least, the manager has said he'd be out of the office for scheduled meetings or initiatives on March 25th from 11 to noon for waste management to discuss garbage contract alternatives. March 26th from 9 to 11, which is Three Rivers Wet Weather Municipal Managers Meeting. And April 2nd, 6 to 11, which is a COG breakfast meeting per agreement. So that is his report, and I will attempt to answer questions as best I can.
I have questions regarding the Borough Abandoned Property and Blight Review Committee. Our original agenda that came out had us appointing 7 people. The agenda that came out today has us appointing 3 people. The 4 people removed was a quality property owner, an engineer, a lawyer, and a landscaper. I'd like insight into why the change.
Yeah, so I talked to the manager today about that. Apparently the resolution has always been written that there would be a 5-member committee. One being the council person we have to name, one being the borough ordinance officer, and 3 at-large members. So that's the way the resolution was written. So to adhere to the resolution, I met with the manager today and talked about who among the 7 we'd like to have. And what his recommendation to me was an architect, a realtor, and a banker. And his recommendation were those 3. The manager's idea on this committee was to work with the Housing Authority, with the Allegheny County, and it was his opinion that those 3 disciplines were crucial to have represented on the committee. One suggestion that the manager had said today is that we can change the resolution to increase the number of people on the committee, but as it stands today, it is 3, and I hope to get agreement on at least the 3 so we can kick this off. If we want to come back and revisit and extend that to additional folks and consider the other 4, we'd be able to do that.
Okay, and then there's no motion to appoint the actual council person either.
Yeah, we should discuss that and hopefully come to agreement tonight on who that council person is. We can, when would be proper to discuss that? Can we discuss that at the end of one of those motions and potentially put a second, entertain a second motion? I mean, it would be the 4th motion, I guess. The first 3 being the 3 citizens who named to the committee. The 4th
can make another motion.
All right. So let's do that. I mean, at the end of those motions, I'll entertain a motion to name the council person. We can discuss it, who has the ability and desire to participate in this committee. And then once we can name a name, we'll appoint that person, or at least vote to appoint that person. We do need that to move forward. The manager was clear on that this afternoon when I met with him.
Perhaps an amendment to that resolution would be good, maybe a chain of command. This committee is there to help out the borough ordinance officer who does this. We pay him to do this. And now we're asking volunteers to come forth and have them participate in, looking at properties. And there was even a quote in a newspaper that I didn't like very much. But a chain of command, maybe could this committee possibly report to the borough ordinance officer, and then he report to the manager and the council?
Yeah, as I understand it, right, the committee doesn't own the responsibility, right? It's not anything different than any of our other committees, right? Where, our committees now are basically a communication conduit, right? To either the staff that we have in the borough or to council, and those are the folks that actually make the decision. So, I don't see the committee actually changing the ordinance officer's job much at all. I actually see it being a tool to help him move
Yes.
forward. But they will not be giving day-to-day direction to the ordinance officer at all.
Oh, no, not direction, but advice and help.
Right, but
Help him do his job.
right, but when you ask for a chain of
We're just
command,
asking for another layer. If that committee reports to the manager and then council, and then we go to the ordinance officer, why not have the committee go straight to the ordinance officer and report to him? And then he in turn report to the borough manager, and the borough manager report to council. And then I wanted to ask Mr. Callen another thing. Today I got a letter of interest for another person in the mortgage business that was interested in being on that committee. Did you receive a letter from him?
This afternoon.
From Andy? Oh, you got it this afternoon? Okay. Well, can we have a little more time that we can review that letter? Because I think he's pretty qualified to sit in on that committee.
There were deadlines,
A
I
mortgage
believe,
guy.
with regards to submitting
Pardon me?
letters of interest. I believe there were deadlines with regards to submitting letters of interest.
Oh, well, I have yet to see any letters of interest.
well, I mean, I'd say the same thing I said earlier, right? That if we name 3 people tonight, I mean, we're gonna vote on those 3 people, so they're either gonna get accepted or not accepted. If they get accepted, we can still entertain changing the resolution to increase it. right? I don't think having more eyes on the problem is a detriment to the problem, but I also don't want to lose initiative in what we started several months back, right, with the committee. So let's vote on the folks we have today, see how that shakes out. If all three get appointed, that'd be great. If they don't get appointed, we'd have to go back out and solicit for someone of the remaining four or the fifth person that you mentioned today to fill out the three-person committee. Okay,
Well, what about the amendment for a chain of command with this committee to do that? Ordinance officer.
is that, I don't see is that, we don't have a change in command with any other committees, and I don't see why this
There's much
one
to
would
do
be
about
different.
nothing. We're looking for expertise to advise us, get all the data so we can present it to the redevelopment authority of Allegheny County, get the dollars to redevelop the property and to demolish. They won't do it until we have a plan, period.
Yeah, so this doesn't, in no way does this committee change whatsoever, right? The authority and the position of the ordinance officer.
But I saw a word in, I saw
There's no
something in that,
relationship.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
There's no relationship.
Well, other than the fact he's on the committee.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
There's no relationship between the ordinance officer and this committee?
there's no chain of command, there's no.
Well, there should be a chain of command, is what I'm saying, written into this resolution. In an amendment. If we have the borough ordinance officer that does the same job that they're gonna help us with, why wouldn't they, include him?
Well, he's gonna be included in the sense that he's on the committee.
Well, yes, that is correct, but then the committee reports to the manager, and he reports to council, and then we have another layer to go to back to the, it just doesn't make
Why do
sense.
you need all the layers? They're just gonna put a plan together and the ordinance officer would execute according to the plan.
Well, there was, I saw an article in the newspaper that Mr. Callen, and the words intimate domain were in there,
Eminent.
or, I'm sorry, eminent domain. We don't want any parts of that.
You won't, the redevelopment authority has the power to do that.
Well, evidently, it's been done here before.
Not since I've been here, not for blighted property.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for the mayor, now that he's here? I read your report, Bob, you stepped in it just at the very end. You took a couple of questions, but I think that's it.
I have one comment
Mhm.
with regard to the animal control officer. I want to modify that motion when you ask. I think what we have to appoint is an animal control officer because it's an official title.
I talked to John.
Yeah, and we have some comments on the agreement that she proposed. So when you get to that motion, I'll read it, how it should be modified, you can ask someone to make it and second it.
Okay.
It'll be really, instead of hiring someone for animal control services, it'll be appointing someone to serve as the animal control officer pursuant to a written agreement, subject to final review and approval by the borough solicitor.
I don't know if the mayor reported on that or not, but we did get a proposal, and I gave it to the solicitor for review, and they had some, obviously, legal questions.
Okay. All right, if there's no other discussion on the manager's report, I don't have a report to present tonight, so I'm gonna move straight to the business agenda. And the business agenda, I'm gonna entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Robert Callen, Borough Manager, to be effective April 15th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I did, at the recommendation of Ms. Amendola and Mr. Amendola, we're gonna actually vote out of order for some of the motions. Not for some of the motions, for the business agenda motions. We haven't done it previously. And the way I think we've decided to do it is that whoever does the roll call, or whoever does the flag salute, we're just gonna start with that person and move forward. So, pay attention, your name will be called out in a slightly different order, but it was at your recommendation. And if that's not random enough, we can actually go back to the idea that we pick a name out of a hat, right, start there and move around. But, it's calling out at the same time, same people every time,
Thank you.
no problem. It's an easy agreement. So,
I have comments. I just want to thank Bob for his service here. He's gotten over $500,000 in grants for the Borough of Crafton in his short tenure. We've never had to raise taxes. In fact, our operating fund is $700,000 plus. He'll be sorely missed, and I hope council as a whole can come to an agreement on what it is they want from a manager, what the expectations are, and where the dissatisfactions may or may not lie.
I'll echo those same sentiments. Bob has been well represented himself here, has done a lot of great work for the borough, and we wish you well in your new endeavor, Bob.
Thank you.
At the next meeting, at the next public meeting, we'll talk more in depth around the process that we're going to do to find a new borough manager. We understand it's going to be, it's going to be some time in finding the right person. So at tonight's meeting, we're just going to accept the resignation. At the next working meeting, there'll be a lot more discussion around the vacancy itself. Any other discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Ms. Post.
Yes.
Ms. Weitzel.
No?
Mr. Amendola.
Yes.
Ms. Amendola.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
At least it wasn't dramatic.
Well, they can't keep you, Bob, so I mean, yeah.
Okay, we'll go into the three motions then now for the blighted property. I'll entertain a motion to appoint the following Crafton Borough residents to serve on the Crafton Borough Abandoned Blight Property Review Committee for a one-year term as needed. Duncan Perry, architect.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this candidate? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Post.
Comedy. Yes?
Ms. Weitzel.
Yes?
Mr. Amendola.
Abstain.
Yes.
Give a reason. What's your reason?
I don't know this person. I haven't gotten their letter of interest. I don't know anything about this person.
He's a matrix, he's got a bachelor's in architecture from
I-
CMU, he works for Michael Baker for a number of years. He's a Crafton resident. Abstain.
Abstain. Thank you.
Ms. Amendola.
No.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes. Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to appoint the following Crafton Borough residents to serve on the Crafton Borough Abandoned Blight Property Review Committee for a one-year term as needed. Luann Ryan.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this candidate? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote.
Mr. Ms. Weitzel.
Yes.
Mr. Amendola.
Yes.
Ms. Amendola.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Ms. Post.
Yes.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes. I'll entertain a motion to appoint the following Crafton Borough residents to serve on the Crafton Borough Abandoned Blight Property Review Committee for a one-year term as needed. Samuel Strom, Ms.
So
Banker.
moved. So moved.
Hurry up.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion on this candidate. I'll start discussion. So it was brought to my attention that this candidate works for PNC Bank as our finance, do most of our finances with PNC. It was raised that perhaps this is a conflict of interest. This was raised to the candidate, and he went out to PNC and asked if it would be considered okay for him to participate, and he's gotten his authority from PNC that there is no conflict of interest on abandoned and blighted property as it relates to his job or their relationship with us as our banker, and they gave the blessing for him to participate. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Callen, I had a question. Is he in the financial department or is he an IT guy?
In the financial vice president of, I don't know if you have it there,
That's okay.
financial banking. We have this, I gave it to Joe this back when he's not IT
Oh.
now.
Yeah, if I have that, where did I put that?
It would be on the bottom of his
Yeah.
vice president.
Vice President, Manager, PNC Vulnerability Assessment Team. It actually says cybersecurity, so,
Cybersecurity,
yeah.
something to do with computers, is that right? So he's not a mortgage guy?
Let me see what he says. I graduated from Duquesne University in 1991, with a BA in psychology and a minor in business communications. I've been at PNC since September of 1999, and prior to that, I was with Mellon for 3 years. So it doesn't really go into what his day-to-day duties are. But it says Vice President, Manager, PNC Vulnerability Assessment Team, PNC Cybersecurity.
Well, it sounds like he's an IT guy, it sounds like he's a
So
computer guy.
what difference does that make?
Well, I think the guy that sent you the letter today is more qualified.
We could go in executive session and talk about that. We'd rather not do it in public. If you want to really press it.
Well, I can't,
Is there a motion on the table?
I can't support this guy,
We were looking
knowing
for
what I know.
person.
Well, let's vote. I mean, the motion's on the table. There's been raised some questions around, I guess, his, if he's been thought of as the banker, as representing banking interests, if you will, and he's an IT guy, perhaps that's not the best fit. But let's vote on him and his credentials as they are, right? And either passes or fails. And again, if he passes, it doesn't preclude us from increasing the number of folks on the committee and finding another person. But if there's no other discussion, let's vote.
Mr. Amendola?
Stay.
Abstain? Ms. Amendola?
No.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
No.
Ms. Post?
Yes.
Ms. Weitzel?
Yes.
And Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, I'll move on to, right, now we have to talk about the appointment of council person. I'll entertain a motion to appoint, can't actually fill someone in here, right? So. I don't know.
I didn't write it.
I don't actually
I mean,
agree. So-
the logical choice is strategic planning.
I'd be happy to put your name in.
I mean, I don't really have the, ultimate time and desire, but, I mean, it's the logical.
Well, let's see how the vote goes. I'll entertain a motion to appoint April Weitzel, councilperson, to serve on the Borough Abandoned Blight Property Review Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Any discussion about appointing April to this committee? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote?
Ms. Amendola?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
No.
Ms. Post?
Yes.
Ms. Weitzel?
Yes.
Mr. Amendola?
Yes.
And Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you for your service. I'll entertain a motion to enter into a one-year service contract with Kimberly A. This is one you
No,
want
we're
to
gonna have to table it.
No, we're not gonna table it.
Okay, you're gonna add to it, all
Yeah,
right.
you should ask for a motion to enter into a one-year service contract with Kimberly A. Secrete to serve as animal control officer commencing April 1st, 2014 through March 31st, 2015 at a monthly cost of $300 plus call-out costs on weekends pursuant to a written service agreement that will be subject to final review and approval by the solicitor.
I'm going to read that last one from what you've written down. Can I read, I couldn't write down the whole last sentence, so can I just read from yours as I?
Sure, I just let someone just take it from mine.
Oh, can you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, by all means.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Ms. Post.
Yes.
Ms. Weitzel.
Yes.
Mr. Amendola.
Yes.
Ms. Amendola.
Yes.
And Mr. Hayes.
Yes. Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Crafton Borough Mass Communication User and Notification Procedure Policy in conjunction with the launch of Blackboard Connect for Government.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote.
Mr. Phillips.
No.
Ms. Post.
I have to abstain. I didn't get this copy, so I didn't get the chance to read it, so I'm gonna abstain from it.
Ms. Weitzel.
I too did not get enough time to review. The packet came at Friday night. I work Monday morning. I didn't have enough time. I'm abstaining.
Mr. Amendola.
I vote yes.
Ms. Amendola.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
And Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-03, authorizing a grant application with a DCNR for the Crafton Pool Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $250,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion?
Yes, actually, Director Beachy is at her conference right now, and she learned something today that can change the amount of this, so she wanted me to explain it and to see if we wanted to amend it. So we already have a grant for $250,000, and then that grant is what, that grant plus our match equals sum A. We can now actually put that against a new grant of $500,000. So she said if it is up to us, we can apply for a larger grant amount. And so according to who the DCNR personnel that she spoke to today, that is allowable, and we would be able to get more money through the grant in that manner. Did I explain that clearly?
So we table this for now?
Well, I mean, we can amend the amount. So I actually don't know when the deadline is to,
April 14th.
is it April 14th? So we would have to vote prior to, in order to get it submitted, right?
Why can't you just amend the motion
Can't-
to say, instead of in the amount of $250,000, in the maximum amount?
Okay,
uh,
that's what I was looking for, because she just had a meeting today, because the conference just started, and she said, she specifically called me to tell me, we can get way more money if we do exactly what they're telling me to do.
I'll
So,
remove my second.
and then I would have to remove my motion?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you make a new motion, but I don't know, it's the maximum amount based upon what, the recommendation of this individual? Is that how you want to do it?
He said, yeah, he told her 500,000, because that we have our grant, and we have pledged to match those funds, that equals 500,000. And so therefore, we can apply for the 500,000 and use our funds that we've already acquired to match. Does that make?
Well, the $250,000 we have right now came from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, Act 13 dollars, which is not DCNR, which is a different sum. That 250 is matched with Crafton money, which we have some in reserve and some we're all going to be using for the playscape. I don't think you can match state money with state money, but we're probably talking into 2015 anyway, so you would still use Crafton money to match that.
And what she said was the personnel from DCNR said you can't apply that way. So that's what she learned today. So I'm not sure if they had changed those,
They probably changed the guidelines. You have a ceiling of $500,000. It doesn't mean you're going to get it if you
Right.
apply for it.
And that's what she said, if we can possibly get more, why not apply for more?
And if the ceiling's 500,000, then you can say
Not to
up to, yeah, or not to exceed 500,000.
We'll take 400.
I'll remove my second.
Okay, I'll remove my motion.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-03, authorizing a grant application with the DCNR for the Crafton Pool Rehabilitation Project in an amount to not exceed $500,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote?
Ms. Post,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzel,
Yes.
Mr. Amendola,
Yes.
Ms. Amendola,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes. Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to authorize the legal advertisement for a public hearing on April 14, 2014, to solicit public comment regarding an intermunicipal transfer of a Pennsylvania